Please help me welcome Donna Luong, Turkey versus Ham.
Fellow Toastmasters, in 1979, as Jason had alluded to, I immigrated from Vietnam to Buena Park, California. We were one of the very first Asian families in the neighborhood. And as such, we came in March of 1979. November rolled around. A local newspaper sent a reporter out because they wanted to know how Chinese people did Thanksgiving. So, fortunately, we had no idea what Thanksgiving was about. That was not a holiday that was celebrated in Chinese culture. My mom that night was cooking vegetable stir-fry. So that became our first traditional Thanksgiving meal. Since then, I've always wondered, I've learned what Thanksgiving is about, and I've always wondered, does turkey define the Thanksgiving meal? Recently, an acquaintance asked, very inquisitively, whether or not I was going to have turkey, or whether or not my family would eat turkey for Thanksgiving. That made me think again, really, do we need turkey for Thanksgiving? I actually prefer ham. So, tonight I hope to persuade you to give ham a try instead of the traditional turkey for Thanksgiving. There are many reasons why ham is superior to Thanksgiving and should be the main course of your Thanksgiving dinner table. Let's take a look at the properties of turkey. Turkey is usually a very big game, piece of meat. Because it's so big, most people can purchase it in supermarkets frozen. Because, and I'm sure many mothers and women in the audience will agree, because you have to buy it frozen, you spend a considerable amount of time prepping the turkey. This means first thawing it and brining it or soaking it, preparing it at least a day in advance before you even ever see the oven. After you prepare it, there's even more considerable time amount cooking the turkey. Because turkey is a meat that tends to go dry very quickly, you spend a lot of time in the kitchen opening that oven door and basting it to ensure that it does not become a dry meat on the Thanksgiving dinner table. In the last recent years, deep frying turkey has become a new trend. And yet, every year, I still see in the evening news, some poor family has burnt down their kitchen because they put a frozen turkey in a deep fryer.
Ooh.
So, let's look at ham. Ham in the United States pretty much come pre-cooked. And so there is very little time involved in preparing ham for your Thanksgiving dinner. And if some might actually argue there is actually no preparation time at all because you purchase the ham ready-made. One of the biggest businesses that provide ham ready-made is Honey Bake, and they actually recommend that you do not cook the ham at all and that you serve at room temperature. So how great is that you can purchase a ham, leave it out on the counter in the morning or afternoon, and by dinner time, with no cooking at all, you have your main course on the Thanksgiving table. Now, science, I think, offers the greatest argument why ham is a better choice. And we heard it earlier. L-tryptophan. L-tryptophan makes you fall asleep. And after your Thanksgiving dinner, if you're asleep, you'll be missing the many wonderful sporting events that happen. If you have a lot of males in the family, then you know how significant this problem could be. Because who are you going to argue with if one person's asleep and now they've missed either the greatest kick, the greatest fumble or the greatest bonehead decision of any football or sporting event of the evening. So, because also turkey, ham requires less time to prepare, you are able to spend more time out of the kitchen and spend it with family and friends who've traveled to visit you. Now, I know you all probably think that not having turkey at the Thanksgiving table could be blasphemy, and a break with tradition. However, in 1621, when the Wampanoag Indians celebrated the first autumn harvest festival with the Indians, with the Pilgrims, they noted that the foods of the time were not necessarily what we eat today. There's no written document of what was actually eaten during that first Thanksgiving dinner. We can only speculate based on the foods of that area what it was that was on the Thanksgiving table for that first Thanksgiving. There is fish and seafood such as fish and lobster. There were the Wampanoag Indians had gifted them 5 deer. There was wild game such as wild turkey and duck and goose. So I think in that first Thanksgiving dinner they've covered all of the food groups. So really you can't go wrong by selecting any of those items. Also completing the dining room table would be a cornucopia filled with nuts and berries and squash. So in the end, I hope that the reasons why ham is superior to the turkey, why the reasons I've mentioned will win your vote. With mothers out of the kitchen, they're able to spend more time with the family. With eating ham, you won't be falling asleep after dinner, and you will be able to enjoy the many sporting events. And without having to cook, you'll be able to spend time with the family. Anyway, so I leave you with a thought, is to eat ham